I want to close this presentation right now, my first part of the day with you, by reading a poem from one of my students. This is a really difficult kid. He's getting in a lot of trouble. His name's Mike Kelly. Mike was just, people couldn't stand him. He was one of those kids that just no one could look at. Everyone would be like, oh, you have him. And now, I don't know if you all realize this, that a lot of kids change, especially the years you all teach. They change over the summer in both directions. You have some really good kids who come back and they're a nightmare. You have some really difficult ones who come back and they're really well behaved, right? So make sure you give every kid an opportunity to succeed. Don't listen to each other if each other wants to complain. What I always say to my colleagues is, yeah, I know you didn't like him and I know you struggled with him, but I'm arrogant and I'm cocky and I haven't had him yet. I never heard Tiger Woods back in the day say, I don't know if I can handle this golf course. I think I need an alternative course. It's kind of too hard for me. Oh, because you didn't play well on it? Well, I don't want to try. No way, man. I will take any kid that anyone doesn't want, put him in my room. I haven't tried with him yet. And sometimes people call you cocky or arrogant for that. Well, they used to call Michael Jordan that too. Oh well. Anyway, I'm going to close with a poem. And the reason I'm going to close with this poem is Mike used to write poetry, which I didn't really know that he was doing. And my paraprofessional, I don't know if there's any paraprofessionals, teaching assistants. Are you all in here today anywhere? If you are, I just want to say this. This is not any company's opinion. It's just my personal opinion. I personally believe that teaching assistants, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, you guys are the most undervalued, underutilized people in our schools today. And I would like to thank you all for what you do. You guys do an amazing job. And I personally will tell you this. I would not be standing up here today if it weren't for my paraprofessional, Michelle Farrell, who was absolutely incredible, taught me so much. And it used to drive me crazy when she would say, well, I'm not a teacher, I'm just a paraprofessional. And I'd say, yeah, that's ridiculous. You're a teacher, man. You can handle the kids as well as I can. And I always say to administrators, if you're making school-wide policy decisions about your difficult kids, you're not consulting your paras. It's like the generals of the army making decisions without consulting the troops on the front line. A lot of times these people are on the front line with these kids. They are with them at their worst. They have good opinions as to what the policies and procedures should be. So at least bring them in the meeting and ask what they think. Anyway, my paraprofessional used to send Mike's poems to national poetry contests, which I didn't know she was doing. And Mike's poem came back, published in a book for high school kids, poetry book, with a check for he came in $500, came in first place in this contest. In the feelings category, they had different categories. So my paraprofessional and I would split the check, $250 each. No, we gave him his check. Anyway, I want to share Mike's poem with you just because it's really, really moving, and I think a lot of you, you'll remember like where a lot of these kids come from. The poem is called Dad, if that's what you call it. Mr. Mendler, what? Can we cuss in our poems? Good question. I used to say no. But Eminem cusses, and Fitty, he used to cuss. And Lil Wayne, he cusses sometimes. They cuss sometimes, Mr. Mendler, the poets. Because we all know Eminem's a poet. I mean, you might not like his poetry. That's why we live in America, greatest country in the world, because you're allowed to not like his poetry. But it is poetry, man. What is poetry? Metaphor, personification, alliteration, simile, right? The FCC won't let me be me, so let me see. They try to shut me down on MTV, but it feels so empty without me. It feels so empty without me. Mr. Mendler, that's a metaphor. It is. Why? Because he doesn't really mean that it feels empty. He means the rap industry isn't the same when he doesn't have a hit that's #1 on the chart. Oh, so he's saying something, but he means something else. Very good. That's a metaphor. Anyway, we taught poetry by we would do Robert Frost on Monday and Eminem on Tuesday, and we would do Maya Angelou on Wednesday, and then we would do Snoop on Thursday. What? You guys are laughing? I had a kid raise his hand one time. He goes, Mr. Mendler. I said, what? He said, Eminem is definitely a better poet than Robert Frost. And he was serious, right? So I said, why? I said you're allowed to say it, but why? And he said, well, I'm reading an article here about a $9 million house that Eminem just built in Detroit. I haven't read about a $9 million house Robert Frost is building anywhere. Good point. But what we teach the kids is this, and this is very important. People like Eminem, see, if they did what they're rapping about, they would be in prison. But see, when you write it down, it's a release. They don't do it. They just say they're doing it, but they don't do it. See, now in school you get in trouble for everything. Now you can't even write it down. You go to jail for that too. For those guys, sometimes it's a release. Anyway, they started writing, and the rule was this: yes, you can cuss, but there better be absolutely no better way to say it. Because if you cuss every other word, then people will think you are a thug, and we don't want that. But 1 or 2 words in a poem, if there's no better way to say it, we can live with that. Mike's got one cuss word in here. I'm going to read it as is. The only other requirement in our poems is metaphor, personification, alliteration, simile. You have to have 2 out of the 4 in the poem. If you don't, we hand it right back. How come, Mr. Mendler? Good question. Here's the number to the education department in Albany, New York. When you know, let us know. That's always the answer to any state exam question you have. Give the kid the number to the education department and tell him, when you know, let us know. That way you don't have to argue it. It's the best answer ever. I had a kid call from my room one time. He sat on hold for 43 minutes. He said, Mr. Mendler, is there really anyone there? I said, I don't know, man. You know? You all know that phrase, the people at the state, right? Is there really anyone at the state? I don't know. Anyway, I know. It was a joke. They're like, these guys are like, yeah, the ones who are giving you your paycheck, all right? We're the ones at the state. What? Anyway, Dad, if that's what you call it. And the poem goes like this. You can listen for the metaphor, personification, alliteration, simile. Even when you're here, you're never all there. You've smoked crack so long you're losing your hair. My friends all have fathers, but I can't compare. I've always been here and you've never been there. You smoke your crap right in front of my face. You're not my father. You're a fucking disgrace. Not just to me, but to your daughter too. All the bad stuff we say is always about you. You think you can come and go whenever you want? I'm not a convenience store. I won't hold your spot. You think it's cool to live in an RV? You're 42 years old and still think life is one big party. Your life's like a stinky, raggedy shoe. I just hope and pray that someday I don't turn out like you. This is the ability level. This is the ability level, you guys, of some of the kids that you all have in your class, that I have in my class, that we give up on because they call us a name, because they come late, because they didn't bring their books. Not in my world. See, whether you love my message this morning or you hate it, it is 100% up to you, and I will not argue with it one way or the other. But I hope that you can't argue with the passion and energy that I bring it with. I believe in this 100%, you guys. Change the lives of your kids. That's what you're entrusted to do every day, and you can do it. Anyway, you guys, I hope you realize that you're difficult kids. They will never in a million years thank you for sitting through 45 minutes to an hour with me. So on behalf of them, I will thank you. Good to meet you all, and I hope I see a lot of you later on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.